Yeah, so let's all right, so let's take a look at band, right? So when he called it out, it was 9:15 this morning. So I'm just gonna put this box here and put it on a 9:15 entry, right? I'm gonna turn
Okay.
this green for us to see. So this is when the call out came, right? So let's do a quick review. So the first thing that we're really looking for here is when the 1 hour has a crossover, right? So that's kind of like the beginning of the pullback that we're looking for, right? So that first pullback here, we can see the 1 hour crosses over in this zone here. So I'm gonna put a 1 hour box on the next one. So that's where that happens, where he had that call out. It was on this big move here. All right, so
Mhm.
that's kind of like the crossover, and it's still moving. So that'll be white, and then I'm gonna go down to the 2 hour, right? So really, what we're waiting for is the 2 hour to happen, and then that's pretty much a go time. So there's your 2 hour cross. These all happen at the same time. I'm gonna make it yellow real quick. Now, when we go to the very first trade, so once the 2 hour crosses, you get your alert, and we're gonna go over the next step to this today. But now here's how you do it. So once you see the 2 hour cross, you jump to the 3 minute, and this is what we're talking about. So this is the 3 minute moon trend negative volume, right? And the reason why it's important for the negative volume, right? Because it's, I want you guys, this trade right here, what you're learning right now is basically the 3 steps to the entry, right? Meaning that you have to have, 3 confirmations, right? And volume is the last confirmation of what's happening in the trade, right? So the first one is getting your green moon, meaning that we're starting to move in a direction with price action. And then the trend is letting you know that it's heavy price action in that direction. And then the volume lets you know that you're on the other side of the long, and now you're in the negative, right? So that's kind of like, if you look at this beginning of this trade here, you have your red moon, red trend, negative volume comes in right here. So this part of the trade, right in this zone here, would have been what we've been looking for, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take a new box here real quick. So 3 minute moon. Let me open this up here. So 3 minute moon, trend, negative volume right here, right? So that's really what we're looking for. It's right in this zone here. So this is the area that we would be looking at, which would be the trade that we really want to learn to get in and master. And I'm gonna make that a little more lime green in here so we can see this thing. Make it a little bit bigger. All right, so that's that trade zone right here that we want to get in, right? So right here is where the 1 hour and the 2 hour come in, and they're crossing in this area here, right? So once the 1 hour starts to, make its move down, and you can see it, coming down, if you're watching your 3 minute, right? The key is the 3 minute is basically inside of a 1 hour. There is 23 minute candles, right? So there's 20 actual 3 minute moves, right? So when you see this 3 minute on this big spike of volume here, right? And that's kind of what we look for. We look for a nice spike of volume above the 22 line. This got up to about the 30 line, which is great. But the moment you see that moon come in and the red line, remember we're always looking for the red line to break down. That's kind of like letting you know that this is you losing a lot of volume, right? And we can see here as soon as the trend comes in here, that's letting us know that, hey, okay, we're changing a lot of volume and price action in a hurry. And as we track it, all we're really waiting for is the negative volume to give us the go ahead, right? So the negative volume shows up way before the 1 hour bends down. But it's kind of like it's letting you know that what's coming on the 1 hour, because the 1 hour has a little bit of a delay, right? So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So it's about 21 candles before the 1 hour comes down. So when you look at it that way, it's kind of like letting you know ahead of time. So that would be 30, 60 minutes. So it's about 1 hour ahead of it, right? So before the 1 hour went into its downside, the 3 minute was letting you know ahead of time about 30 minutes before that was coming into that's what was headed this way, right? So that's why it's important to watch your volume here, right? So the 3 steps here that we want to do is watch the moon, watch a trend, and the volume, right? When you got volume and trend on your favor, you're going to have higher odds of getting a winning trade, right? So as you're waiting on this trade to manifest, you're seeing the negative volume come in. It comes up, it bounces, and then all of a sudden you see the 1 hour, 2 hour cross. And then at that point, once you see that cross come in, the next time you see the moon come back in for you right here, you know you got another entry point. So that's why we have the entry point for this here. This is the second entry. Just because it would be where you're waiting for all those things to happen. So kind of just like putting it in there. So it's like, okay, so this would be the 1 hour cross, 2 hour cross, right? Everything's heading down. You see it's the volume's pushing up here, starts to get rejected. A lot of times when you're in this particular section, when you see the 1 and the 2 hour come down and you got a green moon, but everything is coming on a rejection, a lot of times you already know that you should be getting into this trade a little bit early. But even if you wait for the red moon to come back and then the red right in this area here hits, this would be your entry right here. So this entry, we can lower it a little bit more, but that's that section that we should clean up every single time. And it's a solid, almost a 1% move, right? And that's why setting, when you see those come in, putting your settings in there for, let's say a 50x, that's going to be a 20% gain right there. So setting your profits out right out the gate, saying, okay, we're going to take 20% profits, right? So once you have that kind of in there, or you set it for a 30% profit, and then you move your stop loss and you chase it down until it backs up on you, that should be that first trade right there. Now, this is the very first trade of it, right? So this is why you have to, the next part of this would be understanding that this is only the very first part of this trade, right? It's like, it's the first section of this trade. So it's not, sometimes it'll fall off a cliff. Sometimes it just does its basic move like it did here, and then it bounces even higher, right? There's always going to be a bounce back, because don't forget, it's the 2 hour headed down. You don't have the 3 hour, you don't have the 4 hour. So there's still the last hoorah, right? So what this trade here is just to allow you to get that first pullback, which sometimes could be very massive. If you were tracking band, you would have got a moon and trend up here. You would have got an extra half or maybe even an extra % right here in this little section right here. You would have got that extra money. But if you're just following the system to the T and you waited for that moon to reset, then you're still getting your 1% right here. So now this is the beginning of the trade. So that's kind of where I want to focus on, because now once you get that first trade under your belt, right, or you see it happen, right, the next thing that we're looking for is the trends on the higher time frames to show us that we're continuing, right? So this is where, when you see this, if you go to the 1 hour, you can see right here we have a 1 hour red moon, but we have a green trend, right? Still a good, still a good trade in there. But what the 1 hour trend means is that it's going to bounce, right? So this is why setting profits and taking those 20 to 25, 30% gains and then getting out, right? Because what happens is, remember, the problem is that guys kind of get to the part where they get into a trade and they don't have their profits set for something like 30%, or let's say they put it at 50, right? Which is okay, as long as you're moving your stop loss. So if you're moving your stop loss and you start off and you get your 20% stop loss, and then profits go to 10, so you move your stop loss to 0, and then you get to 20% profits, you move your stop loss to 10%, and then it goes to 25, 27, you move your stop loss to 20, and then you're good, right? That's your 20% gain, right? What happens is it doesn't quite get to 30, which is what you set your profits at, and it goes to 28, and then it starts to slowly go down, 27, 26, and you're like, you know what, I want this to bounce higher, and then you take your stop loss and you decide that you're going to move it down to 17, and then the price goes from 26 to 24, and then you move your stop loss to 15, and then it gets to 20, and you move your stop loss to 10, and you're actually working your way back because you believe it's gonna finish the fall. You know what I mean? And a lot of times what happens is, 80% of the time, it doesn't go back the way you think. It just keeps going up on a bounce. And eventually you're at zero stop loss. And then you're like, you know what, I'm going to go back to my original idea with what? The, 20 stop loss or 10. And then it like goes the other way. And the next thing you know, you're down 20% or 10%, right? When you were already up 27, but you didn't let the stop loss hit. Your job isn't to run a trade, right? Your job is to take the 20 to 30% profits. That's it, right? And make that trade every single time. Your job is to compound. Anytime the profits get past 20%, you should take 15% no matter what. Anytime it gets past 25, you should take 20% every single time. That's your stop loss, right? If it gets to 30, it should be 25, right? And then the reason why we're set up like that is because you have to think like this. So let's say you have, you get to the part where you get disciplined, right? And you just move your trades and you move what you're supposed to. And at this point, 20% on $1,000, that's $200. So we'll say 150 minimum, right? So if you're making 10 of those trades a week just by going around the system, that's $1,500. Yeah. So you're doubling, you're doing 150% on your money, and you have to start realizing that if you're a good trader, right, the fundamentals of a good trader is 20% profits every 30 days. All right, that's the fundamentals of a trader. If you make 20% every 30 days, then you are in God mode, right? Okay, so yeah, we have a completely different system, but the problem is we lose focus of reality, right? So our system's designed to get you 20% a trade, right, or 15, but basically, getting your 20% every 3 trades, So it's a little bit of a different system. The way it works out, it's supposed to be 20% a week versus a month, right? But I mean, depending how you're trading. But we just do, you guys can do every single trade. So that's why we call it the 20% system, because it's designed to teach you how to take 20%, because you're not supposed to be thinking about what you're trading with today. You're supposed to basically learn how to use these tools to win 20% every time, meaning move your stop loss and leave it, right? Discipline yourself. And that's what it comes down to, so that every single time you're taking 20% on 1,000, right? And you're not moving your stop loss backwards, right? Sometimes you don't move it. It goes back a little bit and then it dumps a ton. It doesn't matter. I mean, it'll do that 3 out of 10, but the other 7 you will lose. So just chip away. So that's why we have to keep putting that in our mind, is that is how we trade. And that's the goal. Once you hit your trade, you just move to the next trade. Okay. So how these trades work is the first leg is getting that first 3 minute, right? Now, once you get that first 3 minute, then you move to the next, kind of like your next set of confirmation. So the next confirmation, right, that we like to trade, or a lot of guys are kind of using this too, right? So when you're in the 1 hour crossing and 2 hour crossing, negative volume, you can also use the 15-minute red moon as a confirmation of a short, right? You see that 15-minute red moon?
Yeah.
Okay, so you probably hear us sometimes. If you were in the Academy chat, you would always hear us talk about a 15-minute pullback or a 5-minute pullback, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, so this is what this is when that 15-minute red moon hits, we would take a pullback as long as the 15-minute RSI was coming down, right? So that's how easy that is, right? But if you don't have the other things confirming it, right, which is the volume coming down at certain levels, right? So this is where the 3-minute and the 3-minute trend come in, because when there's a 3-minute moon, 3-minute trend, then when you get a 15-minute red moon, then you can take advantage of this short, right? So kind of put that in your notes. 3-minute red moon, 3-minute red trend, 15-minute red moon, right? Or whenever the 15 red moon, every time you see a 15-minute red moon, if you have a 3-minute red moon, red trend, then you can take that short. All right, so that's kind of like,
I wasn't aware of that.
yeah, so that's what that is. So there's different ways to pull this trade, right? So what we're doing here is like when you first, we're focusing on, you know, what's important here in the system side, which is moons, trends, and volume, right? Once you learn the moons, trend, and volume, then you can go in and basically, you know, add this next indicator, right? So which is just this. So moon, trend, volume, and then this line right here, this represents when the volume went negative on the 3-minute, right? So that's when that happened. Okay. Now, if you were watching the 3-minute, the 1 hour, and all that was happening, and you had a 3-minute moon, 3-minute trend, and then you see the 15-minute red moon come in, right? The moon came before the volume dropped. So that's the other indicator that you can use. So you can swap out the 3-minute volume for a 15-minute red moon. So that entry would have gave you a higher entry. That entry would have came off of not this one, but this candle here. So your entry would have been just a little bit higher, would have been something like that, right? So when in the grand scheme of things, when you look at it, it's about a 0.2, right? Which adds up. Now the 0.2, that's an easy, you know, 5-7%. So that's what you can kind of like throw in there. That's why I wanted to cover today was the next steps of what you guys should be doing. So right now, like I told you guys, you should be calling out every 1 hour or 2 hour crossing, right? Every time it's a 2 hour crossing, then you should be looking for a 3-minute red moon, 3-minute red trend, 3-minute negative volume, right? To get in a better entry, you can use the 15-minute red moon over the 3-minute volume, right? Gives you a slight edge. As long as the RSI is on its way down, see?
Say that again. See what you say.
Always with the 15-minute RSI. Don't trade against the RSI. So, yeah, and if the 15-minute RSI is at the bottom, then that's fine. As long as it's not going up. That's the difference, right? It can be on the bottom. If it hasn't bounced, it don't matter. So as long as it's on the bottom, you're good. If it's heading down, you're good. So those are the beginning of the trades, right? Now, once this trade hits, right? This trade ends, right, at this point. The next part of the trade, or the juicier part of the trade, is, you know, the trends, right? So now when we get this 15-minute trend in here, that just lets us know if we're in this trade up here and we get this trend, we're going to have a nice pullback. So this is the first move. This is the first 15 minutes, right? It's the first trade. The second trade, this is where we got to move to the next side, which is where we need a rejection on the 15-minute, which we got here. Starts to come down. You see how the volume starts to get red again? So now you're starting again, and then I'm gonna map this out here so that you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about is like using the next step, right? So on here, a couple ways you can look at it is that, you know, you can be using the 3 minutes to get in and out of these trades and pick them apart. Or a lot of guys like Young, he'll take the 15-minute red moon trade right here. And then what he waits for is the next confirmation, right? Which would be moving over to the next side. So I'm going to mark this 15-minute rejection right here where this starts to go down. And then what we're going to do is look for a confirmation on the next time frame, right? So as we're moving up, you see here we don't have a 30-minute red trend yet, right? We have a 15-minute red trend, but we don't have a 30. So for me, the next trade that's a bigger trade would be when the 30 becomes a red trend, right? So when the 30 becomes a red trend, then we have a second leg of a trade. Okay? Now, the other way to kind of look at it is this. That's why I was telling you guys to focus on your 3 minutes. So I'll show you how the 3 minute works again so you guys can understand what you're working. So when you first come in, right? We have our 3-minute moon, 3-minute red trend, right? So this is our first trade in this zone here. 3-minute moon, 3-minute red trend, negative volume. We get in this trade, we execute. There's our first trade. Now, the 3 minute does what? turns into a green, turns into a red, right? So in here, if you were in this trade right here, you would have stayed in this trade. It would have kept going. And then eventually you would have hit your stop loss and you would have been out of the trade somewhere here. At that point, you're in a green moon, right? So right now, you'd be out of this trade anyways. You'd be sitting on this trade and you're waiting for the next 3-minute red moon, red trend, negative volume. So we got negative volume. We got a trend, right? We just don't have right now the red moon, right?
Yeah.
So that's why, focusing just on the 3-minute, you can live inside the 3-minute because that's your entry point. So no matter what, it doesn't matter what else pops up, right? So right here, I know if I get a red 30-minute red trend, right, or anything like that, then I'm gonna have a fall. I'm gonna have another dip. But the reality is that dip has to come with the 3-minute red moon, red trend, negative volume. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So once you get in that first trade, which is the first 1 hour headed down, 2 hour headed down, 3-minute red moon, 3-minute red trend, 15-minute red moon, or negative volume to confirm the entry, right? Doesn't matter which one you pick. They all end up in about the same place. The red moon came a little bit quicker here. Anything helps, but those are the kind of things that you can look at for confirmations, right? So 3-minute red moon, 3-minute red trend, confirmation, negative volume, or 15-minute red moon. Now, once that trade's over, right, that's the first trade. Now we have to let this, build up whatever it's building and then find the next, entry, right? So it doesn't matter if I'm waiting for a 30-minute red trend or whatever. The bottom line is my entry is based on the 3-minute. That's why you see me sitting in the 3-minute, because it doesn't matter what anything else says until there's a 3-minute red moon with the red trend. I can't enter anyways. And it's got to have negative volume. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the safety net when it comes down to everything, right? So there's a lot of trades here. This is the second trade, but it doesn't matter about anything else until I have a 3-minute red moon, red trend, negative volume. Because the 3-minute operates, there's 10 candles inside of a 30-minute. You know what I'm saying? 20 in an hour. 10 of them in a 15-minute. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or 5 of them in a 15-minute. So either way, I have to kind of work through these 3-minute candles anyways. So that's why you guys are, when now that you're in the system here, this is the base plan. So the first system you learned were indicators. The Academy system is based on all types of multiple trades. This system is based on the foundation of how it all works. So when you get through this training over the next 8 weeks, you're gonna understand, like, when you look at all the trades, you're gonna be like, oh, I get it. This is the way to look at it. It's just based on the 3-minute. You don't have to really do much else outside of the 3-minute. Right? You see right there, there's a lot of things that are popping in and out, but at the end of the day, I have to have this 3-minute red moon. Right?
So as long as the 1 and the 2 hour heading south.
Yeah, as long as they're headed down. Yeah, as long as they're headed down. Now, as you move forward, right, those trends are going to tell you. They'll think of those as like drops, right? They're like
but the trends are more stronger than the moons.
Yeah. Right. They confirm it. The moon lets you know what's coming. The trend lets you know it's happening.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what that is. So right now we're in a good position because we have a 15-minute red trend, right? So that lets me know that the current trade that I'm looking at is a decent trade, because all I need is a 30-minute red trend for my next trade. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And to kind of understand what I'm saying, here, let me show you, like, on the whole picture, right? So let me back out to the 30-minute. So let me show you band, and we'll look at this on every trade, but I want to show you how this works. Okay. So notice here, this red zone here, you see that?
Yeah.
This entire zone here, that's a sell zone. This is a 30-minute trend. You see that?
Yeah, you see that, right?
Yeah. So when you're here, this is the 30-minute trend zone. Here's another 30-minute trend, right? Look at these 30-minute trends, right? So the 30-minute trends just let me know there's decent movement inside those trends, right? As long as I have everything else that I want with it, right? So for instance, like the RSI is moving in my favor, right? So anywhere the RSIs are moving. So let's go over to the 2 hour. And we'll just mark this up so we kind of understand like what we're dealing in. So we always want to have our 2 hour, RSIs in our favor crossing. So here's a 2 hour in our favor crossing, and that's always yellow. 2 hours in our favor here crossing, right? Another yellow. And then over here, another 2 hour crossing in our favor. And then over here, another 2 hour crossing in our favor. And let's see here. And then there's little spurts in here that they have. 2 hour, 2 hour, and so forth, right? And then nice little 2 hour here. And a little 2 hour here. So that's kind of like that little, those little pocket zones, right? So those are like the trading zones of your 2 hour, right? And the more, if you look at them when you start studying the volume, right, this is kind of training your eye, right? So the point of the system is to focus on 3-minute moons, 3-minute trends, 3-minute volumes, right? And the reason why is because if that's all you do for 2 weeks, then the only thing you're looking at is moons, trends, and volumes, right?
Correct.
So as you move forward, you'll be able to use the moons, trends, and volumes inside of the trading zones. RSIs are just trading zones, right? So these are the zones that we want to kind of like focus on. So once the 2 hour breaks, the big zones that we like to have or trade with are basically our 4 hours. So here you can see you have a nice little 4 hour zone here. The 4 hours starting to create another zone here. Right, so we're band is starting another zone, right? So here's another 4 hour zone that starts here. And then you have another 4 hour zone that starts here, right? And you can see when you kind of like piece them together, when you're looking at them, you can tell when the 4 hour, when you're inside of a 4 hour zone, notice how big the pullbacks are. See? Yeah, so right here, inside these 4 hour zones, right? You see that 4 hour zone?
Yeah.
4 hour zone. 4 hour zone, right? And they co-rehearse. Here's your 2 hour and your 4 hour, right? Here's the 2 hour, right? But notice it doesn't have the 4 hour, right? So it's a very little move. So it's not that impressive. So you get one leg and then you're out, right? So I think that's what you have to start remember is that we're focusing on there's 8 legs that we want to do, 8 trades inside the breakdown. So once we have a 1 hour and a 2 hour headed down, then what we're getting into is 8 different trades. The first one is just a pullback or a retracement where it's trying to figure out a foundation, a floor, a bounce, right? Then it moves back up and then it falls again, right? So we have the pullback. Then we have the retest, and then we start to catch the falling, right? Which is the first move down, the second move down, right? And we just kept beating it up, right? So here, when you're focusing on the trading zones within the 2 and the 4, 2 and the 4, right? 2 and the 4, you can see here's just the 2. Now, isn't the, it makes money, but it's not as much money as it makes when it has the 4 with it, right? So when you get down to the 4, here's another big pullback, right? And now we're starting the 4 again, right? And if you start noticing, because you're trading on the 3-minute negative volume, if you start noticing that when you start seeing your volume collapse, right? See the red start to come down? You start to see this? That's your biggest trades, right? So when that red starts to come down, look at this move here. When that red starts to come down, that's where things start to happen. Here it is breaking down again, right? All the way down. Then it goes flat. You see how it's flat right here? And these pullbacks aren't that great. It's because it's flat. And then it starts to come down again, and you see these big moves, right? So right now, we're seeing that the band is kind of just staying still right here, slowly moving, is because it's flat right now. But once it crosses and comes up and comes down over the next 3 to 4 hours, then band is going to have another dump in here. All right, so now you guys can start getting into these trades early. And like if you see Carlos's trades, like he's got like he'll put in at about 30, 40, 50% leverage. And then once he finds his area, he'll lock in and kind of ride it out. You know what I mean? And that's what you guys are going to learn as you move forward, where you can start just leaving a trade in and just letting it roll through for, you know, to go from that 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, right? Because right now what you're learning is how to just how to just break the rock up, how to get in, how to get out, how to get in, how to get out, right? And eventually once you piece that together, then we can get to the next part, which is extending the trades, right? And that's
where VC, that's where the 15% stop loss.
Yeah, that's where, I mean, you know, 50% leverage here. That's why we're using right now 50% leverage, so that we can just kind of like work on the entries and then leave a little bit of extensions as we move forward. But the most important thing here is kind of focusing on the zones, right? So you can see in here, and I'll go back. So these zones are panned out, but I want to show you kind of like what we're working on this week, and kind of like the next part of this is, and it's kind of like what you're talking about when there's a green moon, green trend. I want to show you guys, like, here's your 30-minute, right? This is the trend in here. I'm going to notice how this 30-minute trend doesn't have a 2-hour or 4-hour going down. You see? Yeah. So when you don't have that confirmation, right? When you don't have that other stuff, it doesn't mean anything. It's not worth trading, right? That's why we don't have that, right? Then you go over here. Notice here. Look at this 30-minute trend trade, right? But what do you have? 4 and 2 hour, right? Here you go again. 30-minute trend. What do you have? 2 and the 4 hour again. You see that, guys? So this is why using the bigger time frames are for zones, okay? So what we first start with is just recognizing moons, trends, and volumes. And it's all on the 3-minute, right? Because no matter what happens, we can't make a trade unless there's a 3-minute red moon, 3-minute red trend, right? So that's kind of like the epitome of what we're doing. So right now, we have everything saying 2 hour down, 4 hour down, which is great, right? And now we're just watching the 3-minute. So in this particular area, anytime you have the 3-minute pushing up here, right? Because we can see that it's fighting here. It's trying to break through, and we could slide to the 15-minute RSI. And then, you know, we never trade against the 15 minutes. So right here, if you're looking at the 15-minute, you can see where it's already breaking down. You see that? Use your volume indicators to see where the 15-minute is kind of like struggling, right? And then you can start looking at, okay, I can look at this area for an entry. So those entries are kind of like, you know, when you're using a 50x leverage and the volume is low on the 15-minute, right? That means it's to a weaker position, right? So the first pullback is a stronger position here. So this first trade that we made, that was a 3-minute pullback, right? So now, as we move forward, now we're seeing the bounce, and now we're waiting for the second pullback. Now, what we need in order to get to the next pullback is what? Remember in the Trading Academy, we don't take a short unless what? Volume is below the 4 line on what? The 15-minute. Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay, so here you go. Here's your 15-minute time frame. Here's your 4-minute line right here. This is 4 minutes. This is 4 right here. Right? And we used to call it the 5. We used to go to 4.5. So it'd be somewhere in this low zone here, right? Right there. So that's the 4.5 line right there. So this is why when you guys were learning Academy trades, the short, you couldn't take a short until the 15-minute was below the 4.5 line. Now the reason why that is, guys, just so you can see, is when you're using a 100x leverage. Notice that once the volume broke below there, notice that there are no wicks on these candles. You see that? And then see these candles?
Yeah, the wings.
Yeah. These candles are the most stable down candles. There are no bounces. These are why we have those rules in place before you take a short with 100x leverage. Because with 100x leverage, you don't have the... So basically what you're using is high leverage for bad entries, right? Meaning that you can enter a short after it's already falling, right? So a great entry would be catching the entry right here on a reversal. You see it up here, right? Yeah. That'd be a great entry, right? We're catching it down here once it's told us with the 15-minute trend. See, 15-minute moon, 15-minute trend. We enter the trade here, right? And what that basically does for us, that basically allows us to be in a secure place where we're not worried about a spike. So we can use high volume in this location to basically make up for, so we make up for the entry point that was way up here, right? We didn't have to get that. What we had to get is this entry point here, right? So that's all we need. So if we're doing 100x and we get that entry point, right, we're going to clean up here and take in 100 to 150% gains. So the high leverage is to basically help with bad entries. And what we mean by bad entries is just late entries, right? But the one thing, the one thing about a good trade is that you're never late to a good trade, because if it's a good trade, it's going to go for 2 to 5%, right? The only way you can lose on a trade is if you enter early, right? And it pulls back on you or it goes the wrong way. So either way, it hurts you in that move. So that's the point of having high leverage, is so that we can enter a trade once it confirms that it is a definite move down, right?
Yeah.
So now that we're using on the basic system, the normal system, it splits the difference. So most people who use leverage use 10%. We use 100% because we use a system based on a full confirmation. So 5 confirmations of a trade. The split, the difference, is basically what we're using the 50% leverage. This is the base system, right? The main course. We use 50x leverage, so 30 to 50% leverage, because we're splitting the difference, meaning that we're taking an early entry instead of the 4 confirmations. Now we're taking a basic 3 confirmation, right? Moon trend value. Right, but that's why we have and so what we do is split the difference between the 10%. Most guys use 10% leverage. We use 100 on the academy trades. This is the base trading system of 40 to 50. And what that allows you to do is kind of focus in on the entry points, right? Because if you're entering correctly, then you don't have to worry too much about what would happen, right? So now studying this here, we're going to move to the next coin is 3-minute red moon, 3-minute red trend. We know that we got that up in these points here. Right here, 15-minute red moon, 15-minute red trend, right? Puts you in the entry right about here in this zone here. And that's still going to give you, if you're using it doesn't matter which system you're on, this is a 1.5% move, right?
So 50%.
Yeah, so either way, yeah. So even if you're using 50%, you're up 75% there.
75%.
Yeah, and we're here chopping wood at 20, because remember, it's a 20% system. It's a 20% system. It's supposed to get you 200 for every 1,000, right? So once you're making a trade every single time, right? So you start off. That's why we say start off your $10, $20, $50, whatever. Start off $50, 20% on it, right? 7 trades in a row. Double your bag from 50 to 100. 7 trades in a row, 100 to 2. 7 trades in a row, 2 to 4, right? You just work your way up. Because you have to start locking in the trades. You have to start taking the profits. Once you take profits on this first trade, then that trade is done. It doesn't matter if you took 20% and it went for 200, right? Once it's done, it's done. Yeah. So now we're waiting for the next confirmation. So since this trade developed had a 15-minute red trend, right, which is normally our next trade. Normally we get the 3-minute, once the 1 hour and the 2 hour head down, we take advantage of a 3-minute red moon, 3-minute red trend. And then we move to the next trade, which is the 15-minute red moon, 15-minute red trend. Well, those trades happened at the same time. So since they both happened at the same time, then that trade's done. So the next thing that we need is going to be a 30-minute red trend, right? So that's where we slide down and we take a look at the 30-minute. Now, once we get a 30-minute red trend inside of a 4-hour and 2-hour pullback, then you can see by all the other results how much we were able to take advantage of. See that?
Yeah.
So there's always a trade before that, right? So if you take a close look here, you can see that before the 30-minute trend came in, like look here, this trade right here, it already produced, before this even came in, this trade already had an opportunity for 2% gains in here, right? And then the red trend came in and produced, Control Z. Then the red trend came in and produced an additional 2% move. You see? That's kind of that's where we want to be. Now over here, same thing. There's always a move before the blue trend. There's always this move here. So here's a 1% move. The red trend comes in to another 1% move, right? Same thing all the way down. Once we have the 2-hour and the 4-hour headed in the same direction, boom, boom, this trade comes in. It had a little bit of movement here, and then it went for the big ride, right? So now we're in the situation where this move was a lot bigger than most moves before. And now we're headed to where we're waiting for the 30-minute red trend to give us the opportunity to start trading the next leg. All right. And those are the two shorts that you guys want to play off. And that's where it comes down to, is waiting for, as the 30-minute hits, you know, the next, if you take a trade in there and make money, the next trade is going to be the 1-hour trend. You see what I'm saying? And then the 2-hour trend. But they all stimulate from the same thing. They all come from the same thing. We can't enter unless we have a 3-minute red moon, 3-minute red trend, negative value.
Yeah.
That's why
Can I just ask you one thing there, VC? Just in reference to the amount of different, say, cryptos that's there, right? How, well, there could be possibly fucking 300 of my favorites, right? But how am I, like, if I set the alerts on the 1 hour, that just gives me, you know, I'd have to go through each and every one of them. Is there a quicker way of doing it?
Yeah, so what we're doing is, so we're having an alert system come out, but the alert system is going to be based on this. The only thing that really matters to be in the main trade is the 2-hour crossing. So if you want to go, like, so let's say, depending on how many alerts you have or whatever, the biggest thing for you is going to be putting in the 2-hour cross, right? So if you go to your RSI and just put every 2-hour cross down, you know, on your 20 favorite coins, that's really that's the beginning of letting you know that's a trade you should look at.
Right, because I'm about to set it up on the hours.
Yeah.
On the 1 hours.
Yeah. And then, so the alerts that are coming out, right, we'll have the alerts. The alerts for our main call-outs are going to be based on two things. They're going to be based on a 2-hour cross and a 30-minute red trend. So those are the two, those two things right there are what you really want to focus in on.
Okay.
So if you want to, like, you can put your 2-hour, crossings, and then once that happens, you look for the 30-minute red trends. Or you can go there and just, put it all on the 30-minute red trends. And what that'll do is that once the 2-hour crosses and it's heading down, sometimes the 30-minute trend will go back green and then go back red. You see what I'm saying? While the 2 hours headed down.
That's right.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of like a double reminder. And then that way, if the 30-minute red trend pops up and you go look, but there's no 1 hour, 2 hour, or 4 hour headed down, then you just skip it. But that'd be the way to, like, find the coins or the trades that you're looking for. So that's kind of what's happening right there with Band. So right now, Band is fighting it's consolidating, right? The next move, and we'll come back here, the next move, and I'll put a price here. Let me see. And we'll check this in a little bit, right? So this has been, kind of going back forth from 105.35. So we'll see what happens when that red trend comes in, and then we'll get the next move, right? So another one that it was called out there was, let's pick, it doesn't really matter. Let's go with Kava. I never really talk about Kava. So now now remember, guys, when you want to write down the basic things that we're looking for, okay? So it's the basic steps, right? So let me walk through this a little bit differently for you. So let's say we're looking for like we always need we need the 2 hour crossing no matter what happens. That's kind of like the basic for us, right? Let's see. So when we jump to the 2 hour, you can see here we have the 2 hour crossing right here. So as soon as we have that 2 hour crossing, right, or 2 hour moon or whatever pops in there too, but the crossing is important. So the 2 hour cross is right here. This lets us know that in this trading zone, this is our trading zone right here. So currently right here, this is in a trading zone. Now we slide over to the 4 hour, which makes it an even better trading zone. And we can see that the 4 hour has already switched over. This is a hot trade, right? See how the 2 and the 4 crossed over at the same time?
Yeah.
And you can tell what happened. Like, look at this, look at this big dip, right? So if we would have knew the 2 hour cross, right? He called that out at 9:15 this morning, right? So now we jump over, and this is where we're going to take a look at the 15-minute red moon, right? I'm going to kind of show you what that is. Here's your 15-minute, right? I'm going to slide in here. Notice how your 15-minute red moon is on your 4 hour crossing. See?
Yeah.
So there you go. 15-minute red moon, right? So this is the beginning of the trade that we were talking about earlier. Okay? So notice how easy it is to get where you're looking at, right? So 2 hour crossing, right? 4 hour crossing, hotter trade, meaning that the trade is going to not just be a pullback and a retest, it's just going to fall. Because since the 4 hours crossed and going down, then what that means is we're going to have a big pull down. See what I'm saying? So when the 4 hour crossed over ahead of the 2 hour, that just let us know that this thing's actually going to pull down even harder. So when that happened, right, and we can slide over, and one of the things that you can look at is a 15-minute red moon. So 2 hour, 4 hour headed down, 15-minute red moon. So what we're doing in our style is once the 2 hour and the 15-minute crosses, you slide over to a 3-minute red moon, red trend, negative volume. Notice right here, that's your trade right there. See that? Right here. Yeah, so that would be your trade right there. As soon as we got in here, that's what we were looking for. So 3-minute red moon, red trend, negative volume. That means our trade zone would have happened right here. And then we piece this together through all this. It'd be like that. And I'll make it green so we can see it. But that's that trade zone right there. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Negative volume. Yeah, so that puts
us... Is that what they call is that the A trade or a B trade?
No, this is a pullback. This is a pullback. This is basically what happens when there's a trade that's pumping, right? It always has a pullback, right? When it starts to when they first realize they need to take profits. Sometimes there's 2 pullbacks, meaning that it pulls back, bounces, makes a double top, and then dumps, right? Sometimes they're just at such a high level, they just all dump at the same time. You never know how much they're going to dump. You just know they're going to dump. So that's why we focus on this trade, is because we are making profits from them taking profits. That's what this entire trade is based on, finding the very first start of the reversal, right? Now, sometimes the beginning of the reversal doesn't mean that's where it's going to come down from. Sometimes it bounces above that and then comes down, right? This is where, as you start to learn, right? So the basis is 3-minute red moon, 3-minute red trend, negative volume. Why negative volume? Because that eliminates 80% of the spikes. Right? That's what the volume tells us, is that it's not going to spike at this moment. So now that we have this, that we have a safe position to open, right? We can make this first trade. Now sometimes this first trade is worth 0.5%, 1%, 2%. It all depends on how it starts to trickle. Now this one just happens to have on the pullback, besides the 1 and the 2 hour, this actually has a 4 hour coming down as well, you see? So this has a 4 hour, a 2 hour, all in the same thing. Right? So that's why this trade kept going. Right? And that's how you'll understand to stay in this trade. Right? So here that red moon goes all the way through. You don't get a green 3-minute moon until here. Now this entire trade, if you wrote it out, 2.5%, 2%. Right? That was the first pullback. Now this is the bounce, right? Not much of a bounce. Then it pulls back again, tries to bounce again, and now it's consolidating on the pullback, right? Right before it like starts to pull back even further. Right? So let's take a look at like the basics. So what are our basics? Right? 1 hour, 2 hour headed down. 3-minute, red moon, red trend, negative volume. Here's our entry. To confirm the 3-minute moon, 3-minute red trend, you go to the 15-minute. What are you looking for to confirm the pullback? 15-minute red moon. See that?
Yeah.
So once you got a 15-minute red moon with a 1 hour or 4 hour pullback, what's the next thing you need? 3-minute red moon, 3-minute red trend for entry, right? So the moon, the 15-minute moon, overrides the negative volume for the 3-minute. So when you have the 3-minute red moon on the 15-minute, then you only need a 3-minute red moon, 3-minute red trend, right? So step 1, 4 hours on its way down. 2 hours on its way down. 1 hour on its way down, right? So you need at least the 1 and the 2. If you have the 1, the 2, and the 4, that means it's going to fall twice as much. It's bigger. It has a bigger drag, right? So first step, 1, 2, crossing down. Second step, 15-minute red moon, right? That's like a basic 3-step combo that you can look at and say, oh, this is going to be a short. The entry is always 3-minute red moon, 3-minute red trend. And we get that same entry right there. Now, once this happens, let's go take a look at the 30-minute. I want to show you guys like how to confirm, strength, right? Notice here, this entire trade is in what? It's inside the 30-minute red trend. Now that's kind of what this is. This whole thing here is. It's inside of a 30-minute red trend. That's kind of what that is. So when you have that 30-minute red trend, look how much more it falls. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is how you know how to extend the play, right? How to get in and say, okay, well, with all this extra happening, I'm putting my profit at 200%, and I'm just going to keep moving my stop loss, and I'm going to keep it 30 behind. So when it gets to 70, I'm at 40% stop loss. When it gets to 100, I'm at 70. When it gets to 130, I'm at 100. Right? Give me 1 second, guys. Yo. Yeah, what's up, brother? Good, man. How you doing? I feel you do.
Trying to sell my house and everything else so that I can move to freaking Chicago.
Yeah, I know, bro. I know. Yeah, we're inside the trading view. We're inside Discord right now going over some trades.
Are you? I didn't even know that.
Yeah. We sent should be alerts up in there. But I got to record it too, man. So I'm gonna put in the recording and I'll send it to your messages.
Okay, I just kind of had some questions about reading some signals and stuff. I'm a little confused on if you get a minute.
Yeah, you talking about when they're in the Discord?
Do what?
You talking about when they pop up or like somebody says something in the Discord?
No, like when I'm actually reading the signals, like I'm looking at the signals and the indicators, and
Okay.
I'm just a little confused about maybe why. Because every time I do it, it's the opposite of whatever I think is going to happen. Like almost every time.
All right.
So I'm thinking there's clearly something I'm missing here, and about to deposit 10 more bucks in it again, and I'm like, man, I just don't lose it again.
Yeah, just hang tight. So when you do that, let's set up a time later this afternoon.
Okay, what do you want me to do? Text you or something? Or?
Yeah. Hit me up about 5 o'clock ish. Or I'll text you so like because I'm gonna finish this up in about 10 minutes, and then I'm gonna be I'm gonna look at some things for about an hour or two, and I'll hit you up.
Okay, I'll be at the house in about 15 minutes.
All right, brother. And I'm gonna put this recording up. Go watch this, and then we'll talk after that.
Okay.
All right. So do you see what I'm talking about? Right here. See how this 30-minute pops in?
Yeah.
Right. So those are just indicators to basically say to you how strong of a short it is, right? But that's the basis of the trade. Now, once this trade is over, right? Because it started, so you have a trade that's a 3-minute moon, 3-minute trend, 3-minute negative volume, right? Then the 15-minute moon comes into play. That's a trade. The next trade that goes with that is a 30-minute red trend, right? If that happens in the same trade, or let's say you get in this trade and get out, and then it happens and you get in the next trade. Once those trades kind of go along, you can't keep getting in these trades until there's a 1-hour red trend. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You have to start working the trends. 5-minute, 15, 30, 1 hour. Right? There has to be reasons to re-enter a trade. Right? So that's kind of like what's happened here. Now when we go to our 3-minute, right, we can see that we take that first trade, we execute in this big trade. After that big trade, right? Notice here, green moon goes back to red moon, comes back to red trend, negative volume, right? So there's a second trade here, right? First trade comes in, you stop loss, green moon, goes to red moon, red trend. Here's your next trade right here, right? This trade happens to go for another 0.03, right? Which is about 20% on your 50x, right? And it's starting to work. This is why when you make that first trade and everything happened inside of that trade, then what you would do is that when you got out of it or you stop loss or whatever and it bounced finally, when you enter the next trade, right, you got to remember that you've already had the 3-minute, 30-minute red trend. Everything's already hit. So this next move down that comes in is going to be a longer play, meaning it has to pull down. It's going to kind of fight here and there and then, continue on in what you have, right? But you have to basically know that when you get in here, it's not going to be, that big until the 1 hour comes down. So if you got in that first trade and it bounced and you got into this next 3-minute red moon, red trend, and you locked in, and you have a 20% stop loss, right? And this slides to 20 and you go to 10 and it knocks you out because it jumped on you, and then you'd be out of that trade, right? Because you'd come in here and let's say bottom of that wick, and let's say you got in somewhere around here. Let's say the bottom of that one. So here's on a 50x, that's a 25% gain. So your stop loss should be 15, which would have knocked you out here, right? With this bump. So then you would have been out until what? The next 3-minute red moon, red trend, which would have put you in here. And currently that trade would still be active, right? Because you're only at, somewhere around there. You'd be about 15% right now. So you should be in this trade on this red trend. You see what I'm saying? 3-minute red moon, 3-minute red trend. You'd be in here right now in this trade, right? So we can get into this Kava trade, right? and we would be a little bit earlier than where this currently is now. So let me throw in Kava. But once you set your trade, you're kind of locked into that trade that you're looking for. And what you're looking for is the 1 hour to help you get the next position out there, right? So let me bounce in here. And we're doing a 40x. And then once I'm in this trade, then all I'm doing here is I'm going to go to my stop loss. I'm going to type in my 25% stop loss. I'm going to type in my 25% gain, right? And that's pretty much it. Now that's locked in. All right, so once my trade's locked in, I kind of leave it. Now once it gets to where, you know, if it starts moving or I see it's moving, then I'll start adjusting the take profit from 25 to, you know, 50, and I'll start moving my stop loss. If I'm not watching it, I just put it at 25. When it hits it, it hits it. I don't care. I'm here for 25% gains. Right? That's the discipline, is to be in here to grab 25% on every thousand, on your $1,000. Right? If you want to make more gains, once you master making 25% every single time, then put 2,000 in. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right now, you got to master the 25% gains. Right? So when this red moon came, you had red moon, red trend, negative volume, you would have entered in this here, right? So you'd be sitting somewhere around there, and currently you'd be at 0.25, so that'd be 12%. So right now you'd be up 12%. Your stop loss is at 20. Your take profit is at 25, right? So your take profit would have been, let's see, entry red. Yeah, so you'd be in here. So right here, this would be your profit. You see that? You just hit it. See that wick?
Yeah.
Boom, that trade's done. Now is this trade going to keep going? Yes, it's going to keep going. But that doesn't concern you. Once you got your 25, you're done. Right? Because I'm not watching it, right? So you see, I'm not watching it, so as it starts to move, it's just going to do what it's going to do. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I'm watching it and I start seeing these things happen, I can adjust and move on the fly. But that's where as you're setting your trades, there's a little button here that says hide other pairs. So if you're looking at a different coin, this won't be there. If you unclick it, then you can see all the trades that you have, right? So if you click it, then you only see the trade that you're looking at, meaning the chart that you're buying on. But if you unclick that, right, then you see all your trades. Now, a lot of times if you're in a trade and you just want to focus on the coin you're looking at, click that little button there to hide the other trades so that you're only working and you only see the Kava, right? So you would click on Kava, then you could see the Kava here, and then you'd be making your trades just on Kava, you know what I mean?
And just see where you're there, VC, regarding the stop loss, just reference to, say, movement or adjustment. Can you just show us that?
Yeah, so basically once you get in there, you hit your little plus sign, right? Then when you put it in there, you're just going to come down here in this ROE, right? So I like to put 25 on the bottom, 25 on top, and that's pretty much it. Now, once this start moving, let's say when this gets to 15%, right? Then I'm just going to click on the little red. I'm going to go here, and I'm just going to basically go 0. And that means that means I'm on my entry point, right? Yeah.
Right.
You know, and then once it gets to above like a positive, right? Then all I'm going to do is whatever it's at, I'm just going to adjust this price over here. So I'll go to the left side and I'll go, see the last price is right here, 6122. So I can go here and go 6132, right? That's negative 1%. Negative 61. See how that 613 would be 0. Let's say I put here 624. That means I would make 4%. You see that?
Yeah,
Nah. So once this gets to 20 or 15%, I'll be at 0. When it gets to 20, I will move this price until it says 15%, which would be 611. See?
Yeah.
See right there? And that's when it gets to 20. Yeah, when it gets to 25%. Then once it breaks 27.30, then I'll move this to 20. And that's it. And when it does that, You know, when it gets to 16, 17, gets into the 20 mark, then I'll move this to 30 or 40. If I'm watching it, I'll put this on 50 just in case there's a big wick, right? So I put it on 50, and then I start making adjustments. And then if it gets to 35, 40, I'll change 50 to 75, maybe even 100, as long as I'm in watching the trade.
Right.
And then I'll just work this trade over. But that's how simple that is. You see how this trade came about? This entire trade, though, I don't need to look at anything else that's going on. I'm just working red moon, red trend. You see? Then see the 1 hour red trend hit? There we go. 1 hour red trend. That's the short right there. Now I know that this is going to give me even more. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because I noticed when I was up this morning there, I suppose you probably were all asleep or whatever, but everything was just green. Everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And green, like the longs, man. The longs are basically, so the one long we do, right? And I'll pick this coin here. I'll just take a look at it, right? So what's a long for us? Our long is 1 hour, right? You need a 1 hour green moon, 1 hour green trend, positive volume, right? So let's just take a look at there. So all these things here are the same thing. So here, see this green moon? See the green trend, right? Positive volume. So anyway it goes like this. If you got your moon, right? You just want green moon, green positive volume. All right. So as soon as you get that, that's a long position, right? Here, green moon, positive volume right there. Next entry in this zone here. Now, the other thing, like I keep telling you guys, once you find your entry point here and you go to your 3 minute, you enter 1 minute before the next candle. Okay. So if you're on the,
So 2 minutes.
yeah,
2 minutes into it.
yeah, 2 minutes into the 3 minute candle. So you'd be entering somewhere in here, right? And then you would get somewhere, let's even put you there. So this trade here ends up being 1% moves on here. So longs are basically 1 hour moons, positive volume. All right. And you can look here and you can basically, as long as you're watching your trade, here's your 30 minute green moon, 30 minute green volume. See? Those are your trades. Those are your longs. 30 minute moon, 30 minute green volume. That's your trade.
Same thing, enter on the 3 minute.
Yeah, always that. So once you see that 3 minute green moon, you get yourself a green volume, right? Not this shit. Green volume.
Yeah.
Then you go to the 3 minute and you would enter somewhere on the 3 minute here. And that's your long.
Right.
Same thing over here, right? As you go across, here's your 30 minute. Here's your green volume, right? Little pullback in there. Now this one pulls back on you, right? And this is where you'd have to be looking at your 4 hour and your 2 hour in here. Some of these aren't going to go as long as you want because it's not going to have what we're looking for, right? So let's go to just a 2 hour scenario, right? Because you always want at least a 2 hour going in your favor. So in here, you have a 2 hour going in your favor here, and then a full, 2 hour in your zone all the way up to here. When you first see the 2 hour bend, right? The further it is through the RSI, the stronger it is, right? So a lot of times when the 2 hour starts to head up, you want to get into the 2 hour once it breaks above like the 80 line, right? Or a lot of times a rejection. So you can see right here, see how it pulls up, it rejects and starts to head up. You would get in on this because that showed a pullback and then a run, right? So there's a pump, a pullback, and a run. Here, you get a push through the 50 line, goes up. I like to play it, more inside. Once we get into this zone here, like the 60 zone. So there's a line here, right? Yeah, most people don't put it in here, but the 30 and a 60. Put a line through your 60 RSI. Okay, there's your line, right? And slide it into about a 60, 65 point area around there. It doesn't have to be perfect. So most of the time, the RSI is going to run into a wall around the 60, right? So you want to put your line at about 65, and there's another line, the 30, right? So put your line on the 30. So a lot of times when you're watching your coin, the RSIs will hit the 30 and come back down, or hit the 60 and come back down. Once they break the 60 right here, then you're looking at a long position, right? And that's on your 2 hour. So notice here, 2 hour breaks your 65. That's where you enter your long. On this is the meat and potato section. That's going to give you the least resistance, right? You see that 65 right there?
Yeah.
Kind of a heads up is when the 2 hour comes down and starts to head the other way. That's showing huge strength because it's the 2 hour, right? So the 2 hour starts to reverse early. That's telling you that there's some volume coming in there. So when this comes up, comes across, breaks the 65, this is the meat and potato areas. So it tries to push up here, and sometimes you're going to have it where it pushes in it. These are, even though they don't look like a lot of movement, this is actually.
Just lost the video there, PC.
Yeah, one sec. Let's take a look here. So even like a lot of times as they push up, they might not look like a big move in here, but they're going to be 0.5% moves, right? 20-25% moves. And it's okay if you're in a trade and it doesn't pan out the way you want. The next time it happens, it pays you back. You see what I'm saying?
Just lost the video there, PC.
Video. What do you mean?
The stream, I can't see your screen.
Oh, hold on, let me see. No, it should be there.
See it? Okay, I don't see shit.
Yeah, try that. I'm going to reset the window.
Try to close out and come back.
How about that?
Right, okay.
So that's something you guys can look at. Is anytime that 2 hour gets above that 65, that's kind of like your meat and potatoes. That's that last hoorah push, right? Those would be safer trades to take longs, right? So when you're seeing that, combine that with your 30-minute. That'll give you more wins. 30-minute green moon, positive volume. And if that 2 hour is working with you in that zone, you're gonna get your move in there. But that's what you want to. That's the stuff you guys want to play with right there. Another thing is watch your 30 minutes and your 2 hours, and when they come down, or all your 1 hours, 30, 1 hour, 2 hour, and they come down and then start to head up, that's normally going to give you a push in there because there's a change of direction, meaning that most of the time order blocks start coming in, and then all of a sudden the order blocks started flowing again, and they start pushing out their last hoorah before they dump. So that'll help you guys out on that when you're looking for longs. There you just need volume. Green moons and volume. 30-minute green moon, 30-minute green volume. Make sure the 2's working with you. The higher the 2 is, the better the push.
Will we just focus on will I just focus on the shorts for the time being?
Well, no, you can grab your longs, right? Like I said, but just, write it down, like follow a step, right? So 2 hour RSI above the 65, 30-minute green moon, green volume, right? There's your entry. Green moon, green volume. Right? So you can see right there, 30-minute green moon, 30-minute green volume, RSI, 30-minute going with you. Go to your 3-minute, get your entry, right? Here you got a 30-minute green moon. By the time you get volume, notice how your RSI is at the top there. You see that?
Yeah.
Doesn't give you a lot of move. So let that come back down, and then when it reverses, this would be your entry. Right here. Right? Then it comes back around for you. You can see it plays through. RSI is playing around, comes down, starts to head back up. What do you get? Green moon, green volume. What do you get? Another pump, right? So remember, that's the way to play your longs, right? 30-minute green moon, positive volume, RSI with room to run, or the reversal where it pushes back up. Play that long right there. Keep it simple. Play the same one over and over. Right, and then use the 2 hours for your, confirmation of length, right, or strength of pushes, right? Above the 65, you're going to have more push. But on the shorts, guys, just focus on the basic shorts. They're going to be the same thing over and over, right? We always enter on the 3-minute red moon, 3-minute red trend. That's why you can see, like on here, when you're focusing on that, what you're learning is volume, right? Volume is key. And that'll teach you, as when you start looking at the bigger time frames, you're going to start noticing, right? So here it hit it twice, hit our target twice, then it pushes up, volume gets rejected again. You know, now it's fighting it down here. But that's kind of like how the trends go. Now we got a 2-hour here. Another trade that I like. The trade that shows a reversal, just so you know, like when you can start looking for it long, is going to be when you have a 2-hour red moon, which we have, negative volume, which we have, and a 2-hour red trend, which we have, right? So this is kind of like the end of the pull down. So you can kind of mark with where this kind of went down and say, okay, this is probably going to be the area where we're going to see a reversal. So 61.14 is probably going to be the section where this finally settles and then starts to move up, right? So I'm going to put this line here. We'll come back a little bit later. And we'll look for the reversal. So once the 2-hour red moon and the negative volume come in, this is where I start looking for the reversal of this, of any trades. So this is where they'll bottom out, and then I'm looking for everything to start headed the other way. So this kind of gives me a zone here. So I'm 61.14 is probably a bottom here. But that's how you focus on those trades. Once you enter that first pullback, then you're waiting for the 15-minute red moon, red trend. Once that hits, 30-minute red trend. Once that hits, 1-hour red trend, right? After that, those shorts are done. Now you're looking for the reversal, which is what? 30-minute green moon, 30-minute green positive volume. All right, gentlemen.
Put a lot of notes.
Yeah, that's why we're gonna we'll focus on these over and over, man, just to cover them. So